What's up, everybody? If you're listening to the Food Origins podcast or watching it on YouTube, you'll know that this podcast is sponsored by Firecracker Farm out of Florida. Alex and his family have a small business where they infuse hot peppers into sea salt. Their main one, bread and butter, is Three Kings. It's got Ghost, Scorpion, and Reapers. If you guys have probably seen me using this probably over a year now on Instagram. Post a lot of different recipes. I've got a blog on their website, firecracker.farm, for recipes, and a discount code for 10% off is Food Origins Pod C at firecracker.farm. 10% of the proceeds go to Pipe Hitter Foundation and Operation 300. So make sure you check that out. Appreciate your support, and thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, welcome to another episode of the Food Origins podcast. I couldn't be happier, couldn't be more stoked. Thanks to Andy at Half Ace Blades wearing his merch today. I found Nico and Lauren Lechuga of Señor Lechuga Hot Sauce. Also, Nico is a founder of Ego Death Capital as well. So I appreciate you guys coming on, and so much to talk about today, and appreciate your support in this journey. So thanks, Nico and Lauren, for being on.
Awesome. Thank you for having us on.
It's so exciting. And I think like the support, you're like supporting your journey. You've been supportive. You've been like one of the people. We have some rabid fans and people that we've been able to connect with on like a human level. And you've been one of those people that we've connected with like early on in the brand and like watched the progression of it. And that's been pretty awesome to like be a part of. So thank you for your support.
For sure. For sure. And then I kind of start things off, I got both of you here, so maybe you guys can kind of titter-tatter back and forth. But I usually kind of ask, what did you eat growing up? And then for Nico, probably wanted to know, like, what was your first spicy memory as well? Like, getting into that palate you have. So tell me what you guys ate growing up. And where, of course.
You can go first.
My mom's Italian and my dad's Mexican. And I was always partial to spicy food as a kid. So like one of the fond memories of my childhood was as kids, we would go to this frozen yogurt spot. So the parents would bring us, and there'd be this in Southern California, it's called Golden Spoon. And Golden Spoon was right next to this Mexican restaurant, Ola Mendes. And Ola Mendes, I would, at, 6 years old, ask my parents if instead of getting like frozen yogurt, if I could go next door and get chips and salsa. It was just always like I was more partial to the savory food and like spice. My dad trains in this traditional karate style. He's done his entire life. And I remember like as a kid, they were doing a practice on a beach in California. And one of the guys was saying, "Oh, your son likes spicy food." And he had this particular hot sauce, and it just like burned the shit out of my mouth. But it was something.
How old were you?
I don't know. I had to be like 5, 6. Like,
we do it to our kids. So, but
I just took it. But I think that I don't have like a particular memory that I could point back to of like, this is the inflection point. I've just always been partial to spicy food. I've always loved Mexican food. I remember one of the first or like earlier memories of going to like a hole in the wall taqueria in Los Angeles with my dad and getting like 4 tacos for $1. And I was like, how many of these can I eat? He's like, yeah, as many as you want. And I was, this is phenomenal. We always would have that. So you'd have tacos. We'd have tamales for different holidays, and you'd have like different adobo sauces, and like that was always like my favorite food. Like if you were to say, Nico, you have a choice of like one final meal, like last meal, all I want are like a Mexico City style like street tacos and like rice and beans. That's it.
Awesome.
The Italian food is great too, but I'm definitely like more partial to the Mexican food.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you answered that question for me, Lauren.
Yeah. Well, for me, I grew up also in Italian households, Sicilian and Southern Italy. And so we grew up every Sunday. I woke up to the smell of sauce meat and meatballs cooking. We had like big feasts of Sunday dinners. And then in the summer at the beach, we'd have like big, huge Sunday meals, but also like everyday meals. And so I just grew up around a lot of food, big meals, over preparing. I'm in Italian families, like 10 people are coming, you're cooking for 20. So I grew up around a lot of food, but I would not say I grew up around spicy food. And I think I really got into spicy food on my own, more like in high school and college and sort of fine dining in New York. I worked at Cosmo. I had an expense account. I got to entertain clients. We went to the top restaurants. And so, of course, you're really experiencing and getting exposed to all different cuisine and different heat levels and flavor profiles. And so I started to get a little bit more into food in my 20s, I would say. But in my younger years, I mean, food was very central to my life as it being someone from an Italian family and with cousins and friends that you thought they were your cousins and their parents were your aunts and uncles, and you're coming together all the time for these big meals. So food was central, but spice came later. And especially after I met Nico, high heat came in all the best ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always like come into different, it's all come different ways. Like, Nico got it early, your exploration. Like I got it in the restaurants. Like I didn't have some of the food that I recognized early on. Cause I was like, oh, pretty basic, but my mom's Japanese. So I had a lot of Japanese influence.
Right.
But my dad's like, from Boston, and he's like, I just want meat and potatoes. Yeah. Spice is not in the ballpark for him at all. Like the first time I had kimchi, that was like, oh wow, so that's spicy, with some some heat, and then it kind of just progressed from there. Like, you guys probably had Thai food. Thai food's freaking crazy hot at certain times.
Totally.
So yeah, it's funny how it all plays in. Did you guys ever think?
Sorry.
What's that? No,
go ahead. Just one thing about the meat and potato is like, we're not like, it doesn't need to be fancy for us. Like we can eat simple food. Like we love food, but like sometimes like simple is best and like tastiest. So for us, it's about like flavor and not necessarily like having to be so foodie and like, particular. We're just into like good food.
Agreed. Like totally. Like, I mean, a lot of times, these days we're trying to eat cleaner, and sometimes something just super simple. You guys know, like tacos or a nice breakfast burrito, like simple, like egg, cheese, meat, and a tortilla and some hot sauce, and we're done. Like keeping it super simple, which I had yesterday, and we will talk about all the things you guys got going on, because there's a lot. And so we kind of want to get into that, but your initial work, you guys kind of combined your talents together. What did you think? Did you ever think you would be, coming from the careers that you guys had, did you ever think you guys would have a CPG product, a hot sauce company, combining those things together?
I still don't believe it.
No.
We were in town with our kids recently who have tried hot sauce, but mostly stick with the milder hot sauces. We have actually a sauce with no heat at all that is made of bell pepper. That it's called hobby sauce for our son, and they eat that. But we were in town recently, and we were introduced. We saw people we knew, and they introduced us to a friend. She's like, "Oh, you're the hot sauce people," and we were like, "Oh, I guess we are now the hot sauce people." But our careers, obviously, as you know, but others don't. We're not in food at all, and I never imagined being here. And I'm sure you could say the same.
We were actually like, it was made it was a passion project of like where it came out of. So we were living in Brooklyn at the time period, and we going back to both of our families, like we like to entertain, and to me, like food is love, and like cooking for people is like it's probably my love language.
An act of service.
Yeah, if you want to do that. Sure. So I love having like a big meal and having people around. And we were living in this apartment in Brooklyn, and it was in Williamsburg, and it had this huge U-shaped rooftop, and there were 6 grills on it, and no one used it, but we would use it all the time. So we'd go up to this roof, we'd invite a bunch of people over. And I always, I've loved spicy food, and I've loved hot sauce for my entire life, but it's really hard, like at that time period, so 2016, 2017, to find like a clean hot sauce. Like you mentioned eating clean, like we're really conscientious of what we're putting in our bodies. And at that time period, like if you look at you've been in the restaurant industry, like gums are really, they're used across the board because it improves the viscosity of sauces. And I didn't want like a gum in a sauce that I was consuming. I didn't want any dye in any of these sauces. I didn't want, like, if we go back to how food is preserved via salt or acid, so like vinegar, I thought that you could accomplish this with like really, really good flavors without having any of these artificial lab created preservatives. And so it was really
and you wanted extreme heat as well, but not so much that you couldn't have flavor.
Yeah, I wanted a balance of like the heat and the flavor. And so we started making this hot sauce in the kitchen in Brooklyn as we were entertaining. And people kept saying, well, if you made this, I'd buy it.
But to take a step back to your question, we were working other jobs.
Yeah,
I mean, we had other, well, I had a company at the time, but we had other careers. So this was like, the night shifts. Like we were doing our regular, and I was very pregnant with Avi. So we were both working and then having our first child. So like very pregnant, and then doing night shifts after our work, like 7 to 2 a.m. I mean, but we did not have backgrounds in food.
But even before that, like when we were deciding it, it was literally just like there was a deli downstairs in the building. And the thought process was like, I want to sell it legally in the deli downstairs. And if it makes like $50, that's cool. To just have like a product from there. Lauren was like, go ahead and do your thing. Because she was like 7 months pregnant at the time period.
And I had my own career for a while where I had my own company. And so I always believe in like, if you have a passion, like go for it. Like you'll only regret not going for it. So I did not think it would involve me when I said go for it, but I never could have imagined that, but I did support it fully. So
she created the branding, which was amazing. And the entire like outside.
I was forced, Dave.
The packaging of the product.
Color palettes, fonts, Instagram, website, all of it. It was
the voice. And
We're
then
use the F word a lot today.
At my daughter's preschool, I was voluntold I was going to be doing it instead of volunteering for it.
And then I created what was inside, and we would go like what Lauren was hitting on. We'd go to this. If you listen to Jay-Z rap, he talks about the Marcy Projects, and across the street from the Marcy Projects is the original. So in downtown Brooklyn is the original Pfizer building where they first spot where Pfizer like made drugs. That Pfizer doesn't own the building anymore, but it's called the Pfizer building. And in that they had shared kitchen spaces that you could rent. Like in New York, it was awesome. Any time of day that you wanted. So Lauren and I would finish our other careers and clock out of that. And then from 7 to 8 o'clock at night, we'd start till 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, like twice a month, we'd make hot sauce.
Yeah. And in regards to this complementary skill sets, though, your job was totally unrelated, but you were very good with numbers. You were very good with analytics. You were very good with operations, logistics. So all of those things did lend itself to this, even though an entirely different career.
Yeah. And it was fun. And like that is the origin of the company, the first, the starting point.
Yes. At a pivot from our careers to hot sauce.
Yeah. A passionate side hustle that has taken over everywhere.
Totally. Everything. Our kids are on payroll. I mean, it's a family operation.
Yeah. And so we'll kind of get into the numbers. The sauces are numbered. I have my favorites. As you guys know, everyone has their favorites. Was 001 the first one, or was there initially the different one?
So that's a great question. We actually made all three of the original like core line at the same time. Okay. So they were all like the 1, 2, and 3, and the thought process, I think, with labeling those was like the 001 was more of a traditional style hot sauce. So if we were thinking about like the barrier to entry for certain people, that while the heat is extremely hot, it is more something that like probably their palate has tasted some variety of that. And
it's just a more traditional flavor.
And that's funny because it's been like a workhorse for us for the company. Like people really, really like that hot sauce. And
that's like, also simple done well. It's the same concept.
Yeah, exactly. The 002, I think that Chipotle has been like bastardized in the US. And really it's just a smoke dried pepper. And there's two different types of that pepper. There's a Mecca and a Merida, depending on how long it's been smoked. And so we use this Merida variety, which is smoked for like less time. And I thought it had like more depth and complexity. And so like you've had a traditional hot sauce, you've had a Chipotle hot sauce, and then the 003 was more of a Caribbean style hot sauce. So let's bring some sweet with the heat. We accomplished the sweet with pineapple. And in that, it was like you had your core line.
A little inside scoop here, though. After 1, 2, 3, Nico also made a strawberry sauce that never saw light of day except for in our fridge. And I loved it, and a lot of our friends did love it. But Nico chose to go with pineapple over strawberry for the fruity flavor. Again, more of that Caribbean vibe. But the strawberry, never to be released, was one of my favorites. And I think, Dave, you and I we like a lot of the same ones.
Yes, and we're going to get into probably my favorite and probably the best one is how I found you guys. I I purchased a blade from Andy at Half Face Blades, and he has amazing products there that he makes for the end user. And then he had a hot sauce, and I was like, "Oh, he has hot sauce. This blade company has hot sauce." I'm like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, and I talked to him, I'd met him, and he's like, "Oh, it's really good. Try it." He's like, "I see you cook and stuff." And I was like, "All right, I'll try it." So it's numbered 5326. It says Half Face Blades and Señor Lechuga. And I'm like, holy fuck. It's freaking phenomenal. Like, it's so good. And it's so good on everything. And, as you guys know, and people will find out if they didn't know, a lot of people love this sauce, including Mr. Joe Rogan as well, who's now combined his efforts after being introduced to it by Andy and then co-branding it with you guys. How did that sauce come about? Because I would love to hear that. And also what goes in your brain when you decide to make a sauce. Like, you have your core line, you've kind of stuck to traditional stuff. Now you've kind of branched out to more stuff, and 5326 has got truffles, heirloom tomatoes, reapers. So like those three together, I mean, and describe that to people, because it's if they haven't had it, it's super good.
So we had DM'd. Instagram was like a big thing for the company early on. It still is today, but it's not like the algorithm doesn't work as well as it used to. So we had DM'd. I had actually had one of Andy's blades, and we DM'd him, and I said, "Do you eat hot sauce?" It turns out we have a few mutual friends. And he was like, "I put that shit on my cereal." I think was like the exact first quote.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Great, what's your address?" And I sent him. We sent him product. After, I think we did a couple other like early collaborations.
We
maybe
did a knife with him, a giveaway where it was like a Señor Lechuga branded knife, where it was like engraved. We did something for Valentine's Day with him. That was like one of our first things with him.
But we might have done like a Bronx Brewery or 2 Bronx Brewery sauces.
Collab in terms of the life cycle of the company. Yeah, we had done a few collabs before 5326.
And I think he saw that. We talked, and he was like, "Should we do a hot sauce?" And he had the idea of like, he loves truffles. I think the amazing thing about hot sauce, and we've really accomplished this with like some of the later sauces, is it's the barrier to entry for someone touching hot sauce is low. It's a medium that they're like comfortable grabbing and trying, and you can really introduce a huge spectrum of the population to flavors that they probably would have never had.
Yeah.
So Andy was like, "I want to do a hot."
Or it would have been price prohibitive at a restaurant.
Yeah, like ordering truffles on.
Pasta,
I mean, you would know this,
yeah.
for $120 at a restaurant. Like, most people are just never going to do that in their life. And so what we wanted to do, like the being in New York, we had access to like phenomenal food purveyors. And so Andy came up with the idea of, I want a hot sauce with truffles in it, because he eats a lot of truffles, and heirloom tomatoes. And then we just kind of ran with it. So one of the things that we wanted to do with him that we were really adamant about from the time period was like, we won't use artificial ingredients in any of this. So that means that about 99% of truffle products on the market are not real truffles. They are lab derived truffle. So anytime you see truffle essence, truffle flavoring, aroma, there's not real truffles.
And some of the oils too, right?
So a lot of the oils will have an infusion of truffle essence, truffle flavoring. So we didn't want that. We were lucky enough to be close with a food purveyor in New York. And so there's 2 different like key varieties of, forget black and like white truffles or burgundy, but the time periods when truffles grow. So you have summer and you have winter truffles. There's a big difference between summer truffles, as you know, like being in food. If you shave a summer truffle over someone's food, it really is aesthetic only. It is the flavor, the pugnancy of it is quite low. And so we wanted to use black winter truffles in the sauce and a white truffle olive oil. So winter truffle olive oil. Originally, how truffle oil was infused was you would take like a barrel and you would put oil in it, and the truffle would not be dropped into the oil. You'll notice this, like if anybody buys truffles and you're going to store them in your refrigerator for a couple days or a day or so, if you put your eggs next to them, they will actually infuse the eggs with like some of the truffle oil or some of the truffle essence flavoring. And when you cook eggs, like you'll have that in that. So what would happen is you'd have this barrel of oil, and then the top of the barrel, they would on the lid, they would nail the truffles to it, and they would close it, and all of the flavor would almost like in a thermodynamics would shift from that truffle to the oil. And so you accomplish this. Now it's really expensive as you're using actual real white winter truffles, which are probably your most expensive truffles. But it was important for us to be able to do this with this sauce. And we came in with this balance of different ingredients and some different types of vinegars that were in it in order to come up with the sauce that you had today. I think we went back and forth with Andy with 5 different variations before we got to this one.
But the olive oil was black or white?
The oil is white truffles, and the
actual truffle is black and they're both winter. Yeah.
And so the numbering on this, all the other numbering except for the core 3, the numbering has a meaning behind it. So Andy Arrabito is a former SEAL sniper. And so you have officers and you have enlisted guys. The code for an enlisted SEAL in the Navy is 5326. And so from the beginning, we had like seeded that in, and certain people will get that. Like we have a lot of fans from the SEAL community, and right away they see like that's a nod to them, but it's not overt.
And it was the only time we did 4 digits. At that point, we have now since done it one more time, but we try to keep it 3 digits. And Andy had that number in mind and shared it with us, and it had great significance. And for us, that's more important than like sticking with some brand rules. So we were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to deviate. Like it's a meaningful code. And so when we drop bottles, people see that there's a number. It's usually 3 digits, sometimes 4, and they know it means something right away. And so sometimes they'll DM us like, what does this mean, before we announce, the backstory or the partnership and what it means. But definitely people know to look for that, as well as other things like the batch numbers, the bottle numbers, and Nico's signature. There's other bespoke elements, but that number is has a meaning. Yeah. And with the exception of 1, 2, 3, which just really signifies like core collection.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's I like that, because it's like it's a if you know kind of thing, right? Exactly. And you guys have the branding as well, like has it's so simple, but it's cool. Like you guys have kept it pretty easy to try not to like find certain trends or whatever. You just kind of kept it simple. Even the font, like everything's like been super clean. You guys did do an extra large bottle for him for a short period of time, which is super cool. I never got a hold of one of those. But and then what did you guys?
Oh, the limited edition XL.
Yeah. And what was kind of the next iteration sauce that you guys started getting into? What was the next one?
I think like around that time period. So we had done an early collaboration with Shake Shack for Game of Thrones, which was like predated the half-face blade sauce. We did another one that was at this burger bash in like South Beach. And then we did a sauce for this magazine, Whalebone. So out east in the Hamptons, they have this magazine called Whalebone, and they were doing a hot sauce issue. And so we did a special hot sauce for that. The bottle on the cover is in the likeness of like one of our bottles, even though the label's a bit short. If I were to look back on it now. And that was great. And that led us to the first season of Hot Ones. So we created this, like during COVID, I got really into making birria tacos. And so a key component of that is making an adobo sauce. And so we'd been making a lot of these adobo sauces. I talked to, what's the name, at Noah at Heatness. So Heatness is the purveyor of all the hot sauce that's on Hot Ones. And Noah is the founder. And we used to live like 4 blocks from him. So we became...
From the store.
Yeah, we became friendly with like Noah. But we had talked to Noah, and he wanted a hot sauce for this season 16 of hot ones for us to create. And so we took a shot at making a sauce with the similar elements that you would have in a Mexican adobo sauce with like ghost peppers in it. We did a couple like revisions of it, but it was a lot of fun. It's one of the most used sauces that I use now. People tend to really like it. It was a fun season. It's always fun to like see other people consume something that you've made and just get a reaction from that.
Yeah, and the celebrity reactions. And as you guys will hear, they're also got a new sauce on season 26, which is currently rolling out right now with all the guests, and the reactions are pretty hilarious as well. But we'll get into that one towards the end. But just all the different sauce iterations, and then we've got a bunch of other stuff. You know, I started cooking with your sauces, blends, the matcha with Chef Claudette. Which is really awesome. So like, how did those come about? Like, I know you try to start to dive into other hot stuff, you know, crispy chili oil is really crazy right now. So like, you know, how'd the matcha come about?
The matcha. So I'm going to ask your audience for this one. So the matcha, like we are not making it today because we can't find a co-packer that'll deal with nuts and oil.
Okay.
And how it needs to be made, the specific process.
Matcha's tough to make. It is absolutely fucking delicious, and the credit of like the creation of the product all goes to Claudette. So Claudette Zepeda is a celebrity chef, Mexican American celebrity chef. She grew up on the border of San Diego and Tijuana, going back and forth a lot, and so that influences her cooking. She's really, really talented.
She's awesome.
We had met her a couple times, so randomly at this like thing called Summit Series in LA, I think in 2019. And then we were introduced to her again.
At a tequila tasting.
Yeah, a Don Julio, like
she was like tasting. Hosting it.
Yeah, with peppers, with different types of Mexican peppers.
Nice.
Which was awesome.
That was the first time we saw her, met her.
And then we had a mutual friend years ago that like brought us back together. But we were working on a couple different things with Claudette, and she sent along this jar of this matcha. And we were
almost like an add-on. I feel like it was like not the intended product.
Yeah.
And I literally like licked it off the spoon and was like, this is fucking it. Like, what is this? Like, and we need it, and we need to make it with her, and whatever it takes.
So we
little did we know how much it would take.
We had you're trying to figure out like with market reception to it, and also too at this time period, like we had stopped producing products ourselves in the kitchen. We kind of like outgrown that, so we'd moved on to like co-packing relationships. But for this, we have no idea the market, and we want it to be made right. So we fly
perfectly.
We fly to San Diego, and we go to Coronado. I actually tap a couple like frogman buddies to like help us out in the kitchen. They're supposed to be tough, right?
Wild.
And Claudette's there to with her two kids, and the goal is to make 1,000 of these jars.
And your mom had orchids, so we got up at the crack, ungodly hour, like the crack of dawn, to go do this because we knew we had like one full like 18-hour day to like get this done. Which still we had to go back the next day because it was so much labor.
It broke everyone.
We broke machines. There was burns. And we cut hands. I mean, we shredded gloves. I mean, that did not affect food safety in any way, but just like our own experiences of like in this kitchen with this production. And it was wild. And just a testimony of like how when you want something done perfectly, you'll go to any length to make sure it's done. We went back the next day to finish it because we had broken machinery because of the nuts and how hard they were to blend. And
so with oil,
food processors we were using.
With like hot sauce right now, how it's made is there's like a big kettle. So it could be 250 gallons, 800 gallons of kettles, and you might have multiple ones running at a time period. In that kettle, it might be being blended in the kettle or agitated in the kettle. It could be running through a pipe called this comptroller that has all of these blades in it. And depending on the consistency that you want of the hot sauce, you might run it through with like more blades. And then it's being shot through piping that goes into what's called a piston filler. So the same type of piston that you'd have like in your car. With oil, the issue is, and so the time period that it can be in the piston filler can be anywhere from 30 seconds or from the time period it leaves the kettle to being in the piston filler could be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and a half. The problem with oil and with the matcha is that you have all these particles and it's in avocado oil. And in the first 5 seconds, they start to separate. And so you can't shoot that through a pipe and use a filler and get like consistent fills. So what we had to do with the matcha was you blended this entire product. So the macadamia nuts, the ancho peppers, the pasilla, the arbol.
She's like frying in the huge pan. I mean, it was wild. I mean, the behind the scenes photos are amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah, you guys got all your like gear on and masks and hairnets
gloves, and we were double gloving, and
And we used one of Beto's photographers. So the guy Matt Lingo is like incredible.
Oh, Matt's got some awesome photos. Yeah,
unbelievable.
The pictures from this shoot this production, it wasn't a shoot. It ended up looking like a shoot. I mean, it looked staged.
He's so talented.
It was so good. It really looked like a food shoot.
So he shoots this. We have to take these jars. I think there's 6.
Oh, we also self-labeled them. Oh, that was another thing, that the labeler didn't work. I mean, like everything was like, with machinery went nuts.
But so you'd have to fill, I think it was, I forget how many grams we dropped in of the actual like solid product into it that had already been pre-fried, cooked, whatever. You dropped it in, and then we had strained out the product from the oil, and then you dropped in the oil to a certain number. And this was all like done by hand. The labeling was done by hand. The filling was done by hand. And it was done that way because like you wanted it done right, and the product, like it came out, it was really fucking good. Like,
I mean, we get so many messages of people who are like, "How can I get this again?" Or "Why isn't this being made anymore?" Or when is the next batch coming? I'll buy tons of it, and so we know we have the market, the appetite for it. They're like can't wait for it to come back. It's like they're waiting with bated breath, but we just don't have a solution to scale it and have it produced to manufacture perfectly the way it needs to be to match that run. We could always go back to San Diego and do it again with Claudia at another time when we're all like crazy and want to do it. But until then, or until we find a solution, it's not like in our current lineup, and to the dismay of many, many people.
Yeah. Well, call me. I'm down. My brother's down there in San Diego too. We'll all jump in there.
Yeah. And our kids are a little older, so I could see my son helping out too now at this point. But
yeah, and then shout out to anyone that's interested in helping you guys out for sure.
If there's somebody out there that would like to produce the product and like co-manufacture it, we'd love to
have a conversation.
Yeah, or somebody knows somebody, because I've talked to a few big CPG guys as well, like Justin at Bachans. Maybe he knows something.
I mean, we looked internationally. I mean, we've looked.
Yeah,
but that's not to say networks upon networks. Usually there's someone.
Yeah. But I appreciate you guys showing, because that's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about, is the inside track on how stuff gets done, because everyone thinks, just the product just shows up, and it's all labeled, bottled, sauced, ready to go.
There are many, many challenges and hiccups, obstacles.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that kind of lays into one of my questions. What's some of the biggest challenges that you guys have dealt with trying to produce?
I mean, I'll give you one that I think was like, to me, it's a fun entrepreneur story. I think like being an entrepreneur, you find these moments where like, do you have grit, and do you have like what it takes to figure it out? So that large format, bottle of half-face blades. So large format, just for the audience, it was 16.9 ounces. It was this Dorica bottle. We had to specially order to get, and it had to have a special label on it. And because of the bottle, it had to have a special capping machine. So we had a friend that had put us in touch with, I think it was Diageo. So this rep for Diageo comes out with this special capping machine to this manufacturing facility that we're using in New Jersey. You have to put a bottle down one at a time, and it's like a rope cap, I think. So it has a piston cap that like pulls the thing down, it tightens it, and it seals it. And he shows me how to work it, and then he leaves because he has to go to I think Jose Cuervo or like Don Julio or something like that. And we're not a big customer. I'm renting this machine from this huge company. We get the sauce put in the kettle and like heat it up, and it's good to go. And I cap one of these, two of them, and then the machine like just fails. It like there's a plume of smoke, and that's fucking it. And so I'm like, what the fuck do we do? So we have about $80,000 of product that's sitting in this kettle. And you're going to pull it out and you're going to put it in barrels, and it can sit in those barrels for, now it's acidified, it's cooked, but it's not sealed. It can sit on those barrels for maybe max like 7 to 10 days. That's it. Or else you got to throw the product out. So now I've got this ticking clock of, okay, what are we going to do? I have no engineering background. I'm on the phone with one of my uncles that deals with planes, and one of the other ones it's a huge car mechanic. And they're explaining to me that what parts of the engine they think they're off. So, and also talking to Lauren, like, can you fucking believe this?
I mean, he's looking at YouTube videos, how to fix this thing. We're like researching. It was wild.
So it turns out like one of the engines, like it needed a new engine, and you could get one of this place called Granger. I'd never dealt with Granger, but now every time I'm watching the TV and an ad for Granger comes on, I'm like, oh, that's
we know Granger now.
Yeah.
So I drove at that time period, I think it was like 2.5 hours down to South Jersey and picked up this engine that looked like it would fit on the back of this capping machine. So picked it up on that day. And then the next day went back and I had to order a special band for how the engine would kind of connect to the piston component of it to make the piston move up and down. So we like express order that band, have the engine. I like go to put it on this like metal bracket on the back of it, and it's too tight, and it's not far enough away for like the band to fit. So I end up going to Home Depot and just getting a couple nuts to give a little bit more space. And this thing looks like it's fucking crazy.
He's like MacGyvering this thing that and he's also going to break the machine now, because now then we're responsible for the machinery, which is also expensive. Sure. So
I like split the wires, wire the thing together, finally get it set up, and like turn the on switch, and it fucking works. And it's like amazing. And that was
the gratitude after
the
was
win.
So huge that it was almost like worth the heartache and scare and the fear and, you know, just the like upset of like, oh my God, what are we doing? That's happened more than once. And that's a good example of like a situation like that where something goes awry and we're like, what are we going to do? And then you get through that. And then it's like even a better story. You feel even better about the product. You're more pumped because like you got through it. You
figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome. Yeah. That kind of, and then just a quick question, but lessons you kind of learned over some of the time. What was something that you'd be like, oh, I wish I knew back when we started about, starting this business?
It's a great question.
Do you have one?
I mean, for me, I think like reciprocity and like, mutual respect and partnerships. Like early on when we had big opportunities, we were excited about them without really considering like, not that we didn't consider, but not knowing like, are these good people? Like, are these people who are like, if we're going to provide X, they're going to provide Y, and in a timely manner and in a way that feels like equal and fair, especially when you're working with like bigger players. So, I mean, for me, I think like the lesson is like, know your worth, and like, if you're going to be a great partner, you have the right to expect great partnership in return. And so, you could bake that into contracts. You can get a better sense of people. You could ask around more. Because sometimes there are big names, and that doesn't always mean that they're doing business right.
Yeah. Speaking of big names, you got a few in the pipeline. How did, and I'm sure people want to know a little bit about it. I kind of know the back end, but how did Joe Rogan decide to do a full collection with you guys, which is 3 sauces along with Andy's sauce as well?
Three including.
Yeah, 3 including. Yep.
Andy had made Joe a chef's knife, and we had known that like Joe was a big fan of Andy's for a while. He shouts him out on the podcast, talks about different things. So he had ordered a new chef's knife, and Andy was nice enough to send the hot sauce with the chef's knife to Joe. Joe ended up from that DMing us. Or
following us first on Instagram. I remember that moment when Nico's like, Joe, I think Joe Rogan's following us on Instagram.
And then Joe sent us a DM, basically expressing like that he loved the hot sauce. And we ended up sending him more hot sauce. but it's very much like the saying of like a tree falling in the woods and like no one can hear it. You're like, okay, well, we have this guy that we know loves the product, and at this time period, like no one knows that he loves the product, and that's really cool. And we'll send him product all day. But it would be cooler if I could actually like tell someone that like Joe Rogan's a big fan of the hot sauce.
But we didn't have to, because he started talking about it on his own.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so awesome. He just like had a passion for the product and shared it and pulled up our website and said our name. I mean, really just came from a true, authentic place of like, I like what these guys are doing and I like this product and it's awesome. And, you know, he's always like, this is my current favorite hot sauce. This is my, you know, when he says things like that, obviously the orders come in. So we know whenever he's talking about us, we see that bump in sales, and it's an incredible thing.
It's for sure. And Joe's really good about organically finding cool stuff that he likes and then sharing it with everyone. Cause you know, a lot of times I'll ask people like, you know, what's your favorite tool in the kitchen? Like, how do we get that? Right. Cause it's like, one, you know what it is, but like, how can I get it so I can use it? He's really good about that. And, you know, I had I interviewed Andy Mokel, who does the flip flop, and he was talking to Bert Soren from Sorenex about him, and Andy's website got dumped. He got sold out, and he was like a week to 7 days out for any order that comes in, because I just got slammed. And it was like the last 5 minutes of the podcast. So it's really cool. Yeah. Really cool that he does that. And, you know, and obviously you guys developed a whole, you know, sauce collection for him, which is super awesome. You guys got a bunch of stuff
come out of the blue. Like a lot of times, like unexpected. It's not, although I will say when we first started the company, we did like what's your biggest like goal? Like what would the big dream be? And one of the things was like, well, if we got Joe Rogan the sauce, that'd be great. And then that did happen. So, you know, something to be said for, putting it out there. We're not like, we don't use the word manifest a lot here, but that concept of sort of stating your intentions and no dream is too big or no goal is too big. And then sort of like letting, you know, doing the hard work and seeing what happens and what you can make of it.
Yeah. And you guys are like you stick to your guns, you make the product kind of speak for itself too, like making an awesome product. It's just going to get to the hands of people that you like, and, you know, or like-minded people. Yeah.
We say no to things, even if they could be lucrative. We say no to the things that aren't right for us, that just we know are not a right fit for us.
Yeah. You guys have done some other collabs. Appreciate you guys. I started cooking with all your products right away, just using them everywhere, tagging you guys constantly. And it was so much fun. Like, so, you know, if you guys see their box, super clean, super easy to know, but you guys did a collab with Huckberry. Yeah. I got it right here. I'll show the folks who's got video, but here's your collab.
Yeah, this was really important. So the founders of Huckberry, they started with $10,000 in their pocket. So you have the hot sauce is like .010. So it just
signifying the 10.
Yeah. And they started the company in San Francisco. You'll know this, Dave, of the origin of the burrito is in the Mission District of San Francisco, and was like construction workers and something to like take as you go. And they wanted like a bigger and bigger tortilla. And like that became what we know today as the burrito. So we wanted to acknowledge that normally when you get like that type of burrito, there's like two, I think the correct word is ramekin. It's a ridiculous word. Little side like hot sauce, right? That you have of a red and green sauce that you might grab to go. And so we wanted like a more elevated red sauce to there. Now they've moved the company to Texas, and it was important to us to have elements of like Texas. So we used a pepper that grows in Texas naturally, and then elements of barbecue. So having like this rub in there. This is the first time we've done a barbecue sauce and used a maple syrup to sweeten it. And then we did a barbecue rub in there, and used a dehydrated maple sugar to sweeten up the rub. But really fun, really fun products.
So good.
Awesome company. We're big Huckberry fans. And it's fun. They just kind of like let us run with it, which is really, again, to Lauren's point of like just picking your partners and your shots. We've watched a lot of other CPG companies be a flash in the pan and then fail, or growth at all costs. which is tough in the CPG world.
Yeah.
And not have
Brutal.
profitable products. And you don't have the opportunity then to like do some of these other fun things that we've been able to do.
And we've also wanted to play in different categories and sort of be a little bit unexpected. And we've done like a feature film. We've done something with like a fashion pop-up. We've done stuff with video games and, you know, like media personalities, TV show, you know, so we've tried to do things that show a little bit of range, even though it is a CPG product and it is a food product. That doesn't mean the collaborations and partnerships have to be food and beverage only. While those are fun also, we've had a lot of fun with different things.
Yeah, it's cool to see some of those things come to play. You've also, you know, even before you did this dry rub, you have your blends. So
Yeah.
you have those seasonings, which are great.
Also,
adobo.
a disaster almost with that one too, in the production of that with the packaging, and then we figured out that. So, I mean, we've gotten an MBA from the education in all of this, but yeah, a lot of learning. The rubs are awesome, and that was the first time Nico ever did something with no heat. Was the adobo rub.
Yeah, and then getting into range and where things have gone, I got a fun question: is where's the craziest place you guys have brought the hot sauce, or you've seen it out there, and you're like, I'd never thought our hot sauce would be sitting here.
Outside of Rogan, like Rogan was probably like a huge moment.
Like, wow.
One of the coolest things I think for me personally, like I love food, I love cooking. And this is again to Beto, put us in touch with
David Breeden?
Yes, David Breeden.
Chef David Breeden.
So for those that don't know, David Breeden was the CDC at French Laundry for the last decade. He just recently like stepped back from it. He's a killer in the culinary world. I mean, his palate, what he's
it's important to say because we're talking about seals.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's a culinary killer.
He's also in phenomenal shape right now. Like he's a beast. He's
got the tattoos. He's what you want your chef to be.
He's awesome, and like you could make the argument that French Laundry during his tenure is the greatest restaurant in the world. But he's from Tennessee,
and they use Andy's knives for their steaks.
Yeah, so he's from Tennessee, and being a Tennessee boy, he likes barbecue and he likes different sauces, and so he tried the 718 sauce, the one that was on the season 16 of Hot Ones, and like loved it. And we ended up talking to him about just sauces for like an hour, and it was so fucking cool to like pick this guy's mind and just like collaboratively have a conversation with somebody that is that talented in the culinary world. That was pretty awesome.
I think for me, nothing can ever even come close to Salma Hayek's experience of her 718 sauce. I mean, that to me, that goes down as probably the highlight of this journey on hot sauce.
Yeah, and I love the way like she asked about it. She's interested. She's like, oh, I love that one. You know, you get the reactions.
Her appreciation of the cinnamon and just the nostalgia and understanding the background of the flavor being something that she was familiar with. And then, you know, sharing how much she liked it. It was awesome. So that was for me. And I mean, we did other cool, like Goop we've done some stuff with Cosmo, which obviously I have deep roots there. I worked there and then I worked with them in many different ways over the course of my career. So, I mean, the Cosmo love that we get is always exciting to me. Just reminds me of my younger self and what she would think of this. And then also, you know, things like Goop and getting featured in all these magazines and publications that are fun, like GQ and Men's Health and Martha Stewart, who's another badass icon and legend. So
doing like a burger collaboration with like Neen Williams and Philip Frankenlee and like Rogan at South by Southwest last year is like we've had like a lot of like life high moments that
feature
are
film with killer actors. Yeah,
I love those guys. Yeah, not a damn chance.
Oh yeah,
burger's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it looks great. I can imagine between basically all four of you guys together combining on a burger is crazy. Like Philip Frankenlee's an awesome chef.
Yeah,
you guys had his sushi.
We have not yet. No.
I have not yet either. But my friend Chef Ryan, who's a sushi chef, he went up to, I think he was up in Northern California doing a pop up, and he went up there and he's like, it's insane.
Yeah, super good. We need more New York pop ups. We got to let them know.
Yeah. Lauren, this is probably a question you could field is what's your approach to marketing the brand? How do you get it in? Well, people know like you've probably build relationships as far as getting them into places. But yeah, what's your approach to marketing?
I think for the actual branding, our approach was like the anti-marketing like approach, the anti-label. So we basically stripped back everything and made it really simple. We did like the typewriter font was very distressed. It almost looks like an apothecary product or like a Le Labo beauty product. I mean, I know beauty, so I shot it and it was all inspired by beauty and fashion photography and sort of branding. But we saw in hot sauce a lot of very bold colors, a lot of clashing colors, a lot of skulls and crossbones and devils and things like that. And what we really didn't want to play in that space. One, it was cluttered already, but also we wanted like something that was premium and that could sit on a table and look nice and be simple and then in Nico achieving these insane flavors without any artificial ingredients, and the colors were so rich and vibrant, we were kind of like, okay, let's let the colors speak for themselves. And so that's how we kind of arrived at like the anti-label. And then in terms of marketing, like our social media, that's really more, it's glass, so that's hard to shoot because it's reflective. And the labels also have sheen to them. They're not a matte label. So sort of thinking about it like beauty products that like fragrance, for example, is glass, or sort of thinking about the products. And then I don't cook, which many people know who know our brands. And Nico really is the chef and cook, creates all the recipes and flavors on his own. So I knew that relying on food imagery and recipes for our social channels as a marketing approach wasn't going to work because I couldn't always get Nico. The timing didn't always work with two small children for him to be like cooking something that he would want to eat right away, and then I'd want to shoot it. And so it was basically like, let's make the bottles the hero here and create this whole world around the packaging being sort of this anti-label, very stripped down, and just very genuine, authentic. When we build a community on Instagram, we want that to feel very authentic. The hashtag being caliente as fuck, we thought like spoke to the product really well and also our personalities. And so the people who kind of came on board sort of had that caliente as fuck vibe to them. And like for us, that's just like living a life that's really passionate and maybe extreme, whether that be in extreme sports or extreme with food or, sort of like thrill chasing, but also caring about what you're eating and taking care of yourself and like, being good to yourself. So there was just different aspects of that sort of created a brand ethos that sort of permeates and translates into every touch point, whether it be at store, whether it be in food service, where you're at a place that that the hot sauce is on the table, whether that be in our website, social, a pop-up, South by Southwest, whether it's on someone's, podcast. We want like the messaging and the brand to sort of like speak for itself. And we think it does. So, but we're also always open to slight evolution. Like we're never going to deviate fully from the foundation of things. But as we have grown now, 7 years later, we're more interested in experimenting. So for example, when we did something with a video game, they really wanted to use color on the labels. And also a scene that was kind of more in line with traditional hot sauce, where there would be like a villain and these colors that would be, like fire and earth and ash. And then so how we approached that was Nico made the actual sauce flavor match those colors. Like the fiery one was like red, and the other one was like actually had activated charcoal in it. So it was like a blacker sauce. And so we were able to work
very different ingredients there.
Right. The locust beans. And yeah, so we basically for that, it allowed us to have like a creative reset. And then we went back to like our roots with everything that came after that. But we love a challenge, and a creative challenge is always fun, whether it's culinary or whether it's marketing, branding, creative. So that's sort of, I hope that answers your question, but that's sort of how we approach it.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, fire and flavor is what you guys do. Everyone's probably going to want to know, what is Nico's favorite in the lineup and what is Lauren's favorite in the lineup? What's your go-to sauces?
I would say that the ones that consistently I eat a lot of. I eat a lot of the 001 and the 002. I eat a lot of the 888. So the one that we did with Rogan, that's I would say is a more complex chipotle. It uses a Oaxacan pasilla and this chipotle pepper.
I can't touch that one. He eats it all the time.
It's so good. Those are kind of like my core three. I'll eat the rest of them too, because the kids. I mean, I eat 5 through 2 6. I feel like it's such an easy answer of
sure. I don't even have one. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So people that we were like, oh, we want it accessible enough. Obviously, it's premium product, so there's a premium price on our hot sauce. But for that one, we knew for the truffles, it would have to be higher. And we're like, oh, I wonder what the velocity is going to be on this one, and those bottles fly. So 5326 is definitely a top flavor for me. Number 3 is a top flavor for me. 507, which is our coffee one with Café Unido. Mario Castrillon was the original collaborator on that. That one to me is insane. And then if I want like a lower heat, the 121 and the new one, the number 6 are like my flavors. So I like more of the sweet ones. Some of them that don't have so much of the Reaper ghost pepper situation going on. Although I do eat them, but I have like mascara dripping down my chin when I do. And so sometimes that has to be like for at home when we're having.
And that does lead us into your new one, 006 lemon garlic habanero.
Yeah.
And it's on Hot Ones, the new season 26 with Sean Evans. Shout out to Sean. Like, he puts out an awesome show, and it's always fun to see their reactions. How this come about, and obviously a different profile. It's got avocado oil. It's creamier. When you guys are putting the teasers, I was like, are they doing a queso or something? Like, I was like, at least that was my initial guess. Right. Lauren kind of put it out on social media. She's like, what do you think we got? What do you think we got brewing? And how'd that one come about? And what's your mindset on this one?
We had a Lebanese tomb sauce, and the tomb sauce has a neutral oil and garlic, salt, lemon juice, and I was like, I think
we had a few variations of it.
Yeah, we tried. At that point, I was like, let's buy a bunch of these and from different spots and try it, see what we like. And I was like, what if I take this and I kind of tweaked it myself and add habaneros and vinegar to it. So you make a hot sauce with it. And what you came out with was in your hand. We had known at the time period that I think I did a couple variations like internally in our house with it. Not many. It might have been like 2, probably like doubled the heat of the habaneros. But the guys at Heatnist, they're foodies. Like, they like food and they like different flavors. So right away when we made it, it was around Father's Day last year, and I was like, I think this has to go to Heatness. Like, I think we send them this hot sauce, and I think they'll like it. And Noah reached out and was like, this is amazing. Can I personally have like 6 bottles of this thing?
They were fighting over the sample.
And he's like, what do you want to do with it? Like, what do you want to do? Can we do something with it? We'd like to like do it. Do you want it on the show? Do you want to do a collaborative product with it? Like, have you tried it on chicken wings? Like, do you know if it tastes good on that? Like, I love it. But, and then we went from there. It was, we had no idea where it was going to be. We had said like, listen, it's always a lot of fun to watch someone's like reactions to them eating your product, and
have the world watch with bated breath if they're going to shit talk you or not. Right. I mean, that's like the hot ones. It's like, what are they going to say?
Mm-hmm.
So, it ends up like they pick it for the show. They do 3 shows a year, and it's the first time that a non-Hot Ones hot sauce has been in the 1 spot. And this is really important because 1, it's probably the lowest heat product that we've ever made.
Yeah.
And then 2, it's like sometimes doing Hot Ones one other time, if you're in the middle of the lineup and they don't get like a really good reaction from it, they might just like
skip
that
right
might be
over.
Yeah, skip over.
But with the first hot sauce, like even if it's not called out, you're still going to get like a reaction every single time. And that's been really, really cool to watch. So that, I mean, we already have like more, I feel like, sound bites from this season. From like Bad Bunny, Stavi, Lady Gaga.
Stavi's probably like my favorite one because he's like, this is bullshit. This is not supposed to be number 1. He's like, where's the bullshit buffalo sauce?
All of his quotes are amazing. His whole episode is incredible.
Yeah. But I mean, I love that because it does kick. If people don't know, your sauces do kick pretty hard. Even this one being supposed to be the light one. If you guys are listening, before I close things out, mindful of your time, because I know you guys got kids to handle. Advice for everyone that's kind of trying to start something, and then also, you guys have any promotions, anything you guys got that you're working on next? So, it's an honor to have you guys on. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully we'll connect in person one of these days at some point. Kind of let us know what's on your mind.
I would say my biggest things, if you're looking to start your own thing, is like, don't give up. And just because someone has done it one way does not mean that that's the path that you have to take. Like, you can chart your own path. If you're, whether it's a tech company or a food company, you might raise money, you might not raise money. You might decide the retail works for you, you might not, and that's okay. And the bigger thing of that is like, your success is going to like come in certain moments, and then the really low parts are going to come in other moments. And as long as you're like not giving up during that process with the passion, like you'll find success.
I think for me, it's just like, do it your own way, you know, like don't do it the way it's supposed to be or how it's always been done. You'll hear that over and over again in food. Well, this is how it's always been done. It's like, well, so what? We're going to do it a different way. Use what you know. You know, there's going to be many things you don't know, but you'll be surprised at how many things that you know from a past life of yours, or just your instinct, or your taste level, or your just ability to gatekeep your own brand that no one knows the way you do. You'll be surprised at how much you have to offer. And every once in a while, you'll have like an imposter syndrome moment where you're like, what am I doing? I'm not even a food person, or, you know, but really never underestimate what you uniquely bring to the table, because no one else has what you have.
Awesome. Anything coming up? Any projects that
we have
reveal
yet?
Yeah, I think we could.
Okay.
You want to hit one? Like,
give a hint.
We're probably doing another hot sauce with the person we did your favorite hot sauce with.
Awesome.
And that's like
a totally unique new flavor.
Pretty far along. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk offline.
Yes. It's very good.
Nico and Lauren, thank you for being on. You guys can find them on Instagram, of course, at Señor Lechuga Hot Sauce, SeñorLechugaHotSauce.com for all the sauces, Half-Ace Blades for 5326, and of course, Heatness for their new 006, and it's on season 26 of Hot Ones. Appreciate you guys. We're out. Take care.
We appreciate you. Thank you, Dave.